What's up, everybody? Bob here, your virtual upline, and welcome to the show. We've got another episode of Biz Tip Friday. Today, I'm going to be answering the question, is it a good idea or is it possible to build two network marketing businesses at the same time? I've got a very strong opinion when it comes to this topic that I'm going to share with you today. So, hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, all of my podcast listeners, we're actually recording this video for the YouTube channel. If you're watching here on YouTube, welcome. I have found that most of the time when somebody tries to build a second company, it's because they believe that the grass will be greener on the other side of the fence with this other business. You have to be honest with yourself. How weak is it from a leadership standpoint to say, I'm 50% in on this thing, but I'm 50% in on that thing? It is a recipe for failure. Plant your flag in the ground. Stop looking at all the other bright, shiny objects that are out there. Yeah, but this person joined that company and they're having success. Forget about them. That's how you build life-changing residual income. Well, let me get right to my answer to this question, because I know any of you that have ever considered this, or maybe you're currently in the process of trying to build two different businesses at the same time. You're probably anxious to hear my thoughts. And at short, here's my answer. It's not a good idea. And I want to start off this conversation by asking you a question. And I want you to really think about this. In your time in this profession, have you ever seen a very successful network marketing leader actively promoting two different network marketing businesses on their social media at the same time? And I bet if you think about that question, the answer is almost definitely the answer is no, you've never seen that before. So the question is this, why? Well, I'll tell you why. It's hard enough to build one successful business in this profession, much less begin the process of splitting your time and effort and energy trying to build two separate businesses at the exact same time. Now, look, I know that this isn't always the case. There's always exceptions to the rule, but I'm telling you, for 99.9% of you out there, it's not going to be a good idea, and it is most likely not going to end up the way that you want. So let me break down to you why I believe this to be true. But I want to cover this argument that I always hear. People, anytime I say that it's not a good idea to build two companies, or the argument around trying to build a second company, a lot of times here's what I hear. Well, Bob, the people will say, but Bob, the average millionaire, right? It's always the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So if that's the case, then isn't it a good idea to build a second business? Because that could be an additional stream of income. And I get it, okay? And I'm not going to argue that the average millionaire absolutely does have multiple streams of income. But here's the thing, you got to go one layer deeper. Here's what I can almost guarantee you about every millionaire out there is that those 7 streams of income that they have, that there aren't more than one that most likely comes from an actively managed business that requires them to show up every day and put forth time and effort. See, the average millionaire that has multiple streams of income, here's where those multiple streams of income are coming from. If they do have a secondary business, they're either an investor in that business, or they are some sort of a passive or silent or very limited partner. Meaning that the success or failure of the business is not dependent on their individual efforts. They've got some other partner, or there's some other way of them being able to build that business. They are not every single day dividing their time and focus and energy between multiple businesses. And here's the reason why. It's because it is a recipe for failure. Because building a successful business, especially in the network marketing profession, is not an easy thing to do. It takes a tremendous amount of focus and discipline and consistency. And by the simple definition of focus, you can't focus on two different things at the same time. Let me give you a different way to think about this, in case I haven't convinced you already. I want you to just think about the people out there that are trying to build two different companies at the same time. If their first company that they were a part of when they first joined, if that was going so well, if their business was growing and they were making money, why would they even feel the need to try to add on a second business? See, most of the people that are trying to build two companies, it's because I bet they're not seeing a very high level of success in either of the two companies. So if their first company isn't going well, right? And here's where, and just bear with me for a second, because you know I always come from a place of love and I want to help. Here's where I think the hard truth needs to be told for some of you. You got to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. Is the reason why you're building a second company because you don't really fully believe that you are the reason why the first business is not going the way that you want? See, because look, here's the inconvenient truth. This is my experience. I'm just sharing it with you. You're watching my show, so I'm going to give you my opinion. I have found that most of the time when somebody tries to build a second company, it's because they believe that the grass will be greener on the other side of the fence with this other business, that they were struggling in the first one. They don't want to totally give it up because they still like the products and they like the people and they're making a little bit of money. So they don't want to give that up. So they're going to just try to straddle the fence. They're thinking that the grass will be greener on the other side because somebody said, but this is such a better comp plan. This is such a better system. This is such a better that. So you got to do this. So they're like trying to straddle the fence, but they're splitting up their focus and they think the grass is greener. But here's what eventually they realize. You still have to mow the lawn. You still got to mow the lawn. See, there was this saying that I learned early in my career that I found to be so true. Wherever you go, there you are. And here's what happens to a lot of people that try to build two businesses. They find that in this other company, they have the same exact challenges and struggles that they had in the first one. And you want to know why? Because they realize it was them all the time. Look, here's what I've learned about in my career in this profession. There is no perfect company. There is no perfect compensation plan. There is no perfect product. And anybody that will lead you to believe that is lying to you. See, at some point in your career, you've got to find a company that you love and a product that you love. You have to find an upline that you believe in, that shares the same values and beliefs as you, that you trust, and find a company that has good, decent systems and a fair comp plan. And I'm telling you, that's all you need to be massively successful in this profession. But why a lot of people struggle and why they go down the route of trying to build a second business is because they never take personal responsibility for their own success. They want to play victim and they want to blame other people and other things for their lack of success, only at some point to realize it's really just them. So here's the last thing I'll share with you on this topic. I want to give you a couple of other reasons why, why I think it's difficult building two businesses. But I want to share one thing that I could see as a possible scenario. What if you find another product that you fall in love with? Because this is a lot of times, this is what will lead people to trying to build a second company, is they find a product that doesn't really compete with their current company's products. And they're like, well, Bob, I want to sell this other product because it just complements what I do. Okay. And I get that argument. And the only scenario where I could see something like this working is if you were just focusing on selling a second complementary product to earn some additional income that way. And that was it. I'm here to tell you that building two downlines in two different companies is nearly impossible to do. There are only that I know of in my career, and I've been around this profession for a long time, and I've been around a lot of very ultra successful leaders. I've never met one of them that is actively building two downlines. I have met people that have partnerships in other companies that earn an income and do have involvement in other companies. But when you go to their social media, they're not promoting two different things. They are not actively on a daily basis building two different teams. And this is like the top one half of 1% of people in this profession. Those kind of opportunities don't come to people like us, to the everyday average network marketers that are just getting started. You'll never see those kinds of opportunities. Most of the people that are doing this, they're going about it the wrong way. Now, there are 3 different reasons why I think this is a formula for disaster. Here's number 1. And I think this might be the most important thing to consider. When you are a leader, you have a team in one company, and then you all of a sudden want to start building a second business, you have to understand at some point, your existing team is going to find out that you are building a second business, even if you try to keep it totally separate. Eventually, somebody's going to find out. And I want you to imagine the confusion that that will create in that person's business. See, you building a second thing creates so much doubt and confusion on either side of this equation. Because if I was in your downline and I saw you doing that, here's the first question that I would ask myself. Well, if this is so good, why do they need to do something else? And should I be doing that other thing? And then all that does is it gets the people on your team become confused. They start doubting the company that they're in and they do nothing. So it creates a ton of confusion and doubt, even if all you're doing is marketing another product. And you're like, well, I'm just selling a product. People still will think, well, why do they need to sell another product? Are they not making money here? Creates so much confusion and doubt. The second thing is this, we've already talked about this. It takes so much time and effort to build a downline. It takes so much time and effort to develop yourself as a leader, right? And when we talk about being focused, because that's focus and consistency are two of the most important things that lead you to success. It's impossible to put an equal amount of focus and time and effort into two different things. You only have a certain amount of time. So by nature, you're going to have to split that. And the minute you do that, you become 50% less effective in either thing that you're doing. And I'm telling you, I've seen people try to do it. They think, well, I'm just going to present to the prospect. And if they don't want to do company A, I'll present company B. That never works. Look, it sounds great in your head, looks great on paper. It never winds up working long term. The third thing that I want you to consider is this. What's really happening when you're building a network marketing downline? You're creating a culture. You're creating a culture, and it is almost impossible for you to intentionally create two separate cultures in two completely different companies. A lot of culture building, it comes as a result of that confidence and belief in what you're doing and who you are, right? It comes from people seeing a level of commitment to the company and to the products and to the mission behind the work that you do. And how weak is it from a leadership standpoint to say, I'm 50% in on this thing, but I'm 50% in on that thing. You'll never be able to build a raving fan culture, the kind of culture that you need to keep people in long term, even when they're not seeing success, to help build their confidence and belief so they can win. And for those reasons, that's why I think it's just not a good idea. So here's what I'll share with you in closing. What I want you, if you're trying to do this right now, what I want you to recognize is I want you to be honest with yourself and ask yourself this question. Are you falling into that trap of thinking maybe it's not me? Maybe the grass is greener. Have you yet to take full responsibility for your own success? Is your lack of commitment the reason why? Because look, if you're doing two things, you're not fully committed to either of them. And commitment, being all in. Look, I'm telling you, find a company. Plant your flag in the ground. Stop looking at all the other bright, shiny objects that are out there. Yeah, but this person joined that company and they're having success. Forget about them. Run your own race. Pick a company. When I look at the greatest leaders in this profession, people that have been around for decades, people that have earned tens of millions of dollars, the people that I admire, that I say, man, they're doing it right. Yes, maybe they've gone through a couple of different companies, some by choice, some by chance, but they've never tried to build two at the same time. The one thing you hear is they'll tell you, I picked a company, I put my flag in the ground, I didn't look left or right, I rode the ups, I rode the downs, and I stuck it out. And that's why I am where I am. That's how you build a legacy business. That's how you build life-changing residual income. So that's my advice to you. I hope you got some value out of the episode today. And hey, look, if you're considering doing this, I hope that this episode gave you some clarity in helping you make the right decision for yourself and your family moving forward. If you're watching on YouTube and you got some value out of the show, hey, it's also a podcast. We'll put the link in the show notes if you want to listen, if you prefer that method. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video. I'd really appreciate it. So I'll see you soon, everybody. Take care.